my first promotion in the car business was as a closer. Just try that little trick when you go into, presenting numbers to your customer. Really want to dive into the part of the process that I think we all feel like once we get it is the most fun. The part of the process that when we don't really feel confident in it could be the most intimidating. And the part of the process that I feel like feels the most like a little bit of a mental warfare, and that's overcoming objections, negotiating with customers, being able to identify real objections, isolate objections, sales techniques, and ultimately closing deals. Because I know personally for me, when I first started selling cars, ironically enough, my first promotion in the car business was as a closer. But the biggest weakness I had in my game when selling cars was closing deals. I didn't, and I kind of went over this last time, I really didn't understand how to take the customer from the building trust and rapport stage, building trust and rapport, positioning myself as their friend, letting them know that I'm their trusted advisor, that I'm there for them, and then being able to flip that switch and then close them without feeling like I was being fraudulent the whole time. I didn't understand how to I didn't have that finesse yet. I was able to develop that, I think by default, because at some point I just got frustrated with teaching them how to buy a car from somebody else. I got frustrated with giving them all of the information necessary to make an educated decision, but ultimately to buy a car from somebody not Anthony Mazzone. I got fed up with that, and I also started to develop two things. One, a sense of worthiness that I deserve the right to make money. Profit's not a dirty word. Anyone that you're selling a car to, they go to work every single day and they make money, and they don't feel bad about it. So why should I feel bad about it? I also developed confidence. And there's a few ways to develop confidence. I haven't found one better than knowledge. Experience is good, but even experienced salespeople aren't always the most confident. Just because you do something for a long period of time doesn't mean you're doing it right or doing it well. So knowledge will lead to confidence, and ultimately that confidence will have you feeling like I spent a lot of time dedicated to my craft. I spent a lot of time sharpening my tools. I spent a lot of time trying to get better. I don't want to have this person go buy from the guy down the street or the girl down the street. So the uncomfortable part when you first start selling cars, a lot of times, is that face-to-face negotiation. Because we're tribal beings, we're communal beings, we're hardwired to not want to be rejected. We just don't want to be. We want to be of value to our tribe, right? That's how we've evolved as a species. So it doesn't feel good to be rejected. It's the complete opposite of what we want. And I can think of salespeople that I've brought on and trained over the years who they were so worked up and nervous and afraid of having to get to the close that I almost feel like they self-sabotage themselves not to get there. Like they almost wanted the customer to leave and give them a call when they were ready than to have to get into the close and try to get them to be ready. It's very strange if you don't understand why we do that, but I'm a salesperson. I get it. I was new too, right? So if you're new to the game, just know that, or even if you're a veteran, the anxiety you feel in your stomach when you have to come over and you have to lay that pencil down and the back and forth starts, that's normal. That's normal. You'd have to be a sociopath for that not to give you some butterflies. It still does it for me today. And the butterflies, though, I look at it a little bit differently now. And I think we spoke about this either last time I was here or maybe you've heard me say it before on social media, that physiologically, your body has the same response when you're nervous and when you're excited. The same things happen to you from a physiological standpoint, right? You get the butterflies in your stomach. Your voice, gets a little coarse. You can't speak as clearly. Cognitively, you're a little bit off. Your legs get heavy. Your heart starts racing. Palms get sweaty. Changing cortisol levels. It's literally the same thing. So whenever I feel like I'm nervous, I just tell myself, oh no, I'm just excited. And it really changes it for me, you know? And just try that little trick when you go into, you know, presenting numbers to your customer. It's interesting, right? Because think about anytime you go into a department store, right? You go into Macy's, or if you go into CVS, or if you go into Best Buy, right? Any of these stores. Have you ever had an associate, you go and you ask for the price of, let's say, a TV. Have you ever had an associate in Best Buy say to you, the price is $8.99, do you think you'd be willing to pay that, or would you like for me to ask my manager if we can get a little cheaper for you? No, I'm still waiting. I've never had it, right? There's no guilt. There's no nervousness. The price is the price, right? And yes, in a vacuum, in a perfect world, is that how it would exist here? Yeah, of course. But it is worth giving that a shot, right? Because there's no rule that says they have to say no. You know, my last sale on the sales floor, going back over a dozen years ago, I was starting a new job on Monday at Mount Ephraim Dodge as a closer. It was Saturday, and it was 5:55. We closed at 6. I was done. That was it. I did my farewell tour, hugs and kisses, goodbye, see you later. Customer's on the showroom floor. He's looking at a Nissan Rogue. So just natural inclination is, I'm going to up the guy. I'm going to greet him, see if he needs help. Now, the other side of my brain's like, well, I'm actually going to be at a different store on Monday. This is going to be ag, having to clean this deal up, but I did it anyway, right? Greet the guy. He's looking at a Rogue, but he actually wants to take a peek at pre-owned Armadas. So I'm like, all right, this is going to be an 8:30, 9 o'clock night. So I go out, I'm showing him pre-owned Armadas. Land on one, 2011. Desk manager works up the numbers for me, fully protected. Warranty, gap, this, that, blah, 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 blah. I think we even give him a warranty on his TV. We give him everything in that, right? I come over, I lay the pencil down. He looks at it and goes, all right, yeah, that works for me. And I was like, okay, perfect, works for me too. So I get up, I run over. Now back then, the business was a lot different than it was over these past couple years. But it was my last deal on the sales floor, and it was over $11,000 on the front. And it was my biggest deal that I've ever had. And it was my last deal. Let's say you said stalled, right? So this is a technique that I use a lot.
Where like they just keep saying, we got to go think about it, but I would never give them choices or give them options after that.
So let's say I get stuck and I don't know what to do, right? I do this a lot, and
it doesn't happen all the time, but it's been happening a lot lately with these people that are coming in. No, it's our first day. We're shopping this car. This is what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Over and over. We're shopping 4 places.
First stop's first choice.
Yeah.
The first stop's the first choice. And Lance, let me ask you a question. Let's say you had a party to go to, right? Mm-hmm. It's Friday. You're going to the mall. It's your day off. You got to go to the mall and get an outfit, right?
Yep.
Are you going to go to your favorite store first or your least favorite store?
I'm on my favorite
store, right? Hoping to find something, right? And when you went there, I think if you found an outfit that you could see yourself wearing that night to the party, right? Mm-hmm. And it fit your budget, wouldn't it be safe to say you would leave with that outfit?
Yeah.
Right, so you came here first, you said, right? So I would imagine this is your first choice too. And I'm not saying that doing your due diligence isn't important, but what I'm saying is that sometimes what happens is we go from dealership to dealership to dealership to dealership, ultimately to realize that my first stop was my first choice. And what happens is, especially with Toyota, I know you're loyal to the brand and inventory is an issue, right? And I want to prevent you from, making a decision you're going to regret. You'll circle back to that first choice ultimately, but then you'll find that vehicle that you really wanted is no longer there. And now you have to settle for a car that instead of a 10, which you admitted this vehicle was, is an 8 or a 9. And then, vehicle prices continue to rise, right? Let's say they're on a 24, and now you're creating a sense of urgency because the 25s are going to come out, right? Their trade-in's never going to be worth as much as it is right now.
Right.
You circle back in another 2 months' time, and instead of a 2024, you're looking at a 2025. And that vehicle's $1,500 more per month. And your trade-in, just because the model year has now officially changed, is worth $2,000 less. By waiting and coming back to your first choice, the new car goes up $1,500, your trade-in drops $2,000, that's $3,500. Over the course of a lease, that's about $100 per month. So by waiting to ultimately come back to your first choice, you're going to settle for a car that you don't love as much as this one and pay $100 more per month. And the only reason I know that is because I've done it before and I see it happen every single day.